Is there any insight about how the guy came into the house? Did somebody open the door for him and they're like, what are you doing here?
Well, this is what I was going to explain. Fast forward to December. All of a sudden, it's like breaking news that the police have found they have a suspect.
Okay.
And it's this guy named Brian Koberger, right? I believe. They found him in Pennsylvania because that's where his parents live. And he had apparently gone there during Christmas break. And the SWAT team came over to their house, arrested him, took him into custody. And then he got... what's the word? Extradited?
Okay.
Is that the right word? Here to Idaho.
Yeah.
Because there's all these rules you have to go through when somebody's out of state.
What is extradited?
The state takes him from another state. They have to
it's just a cross state line jurisdiction thing.
Yeah, it's a jurisdiction thing for sure.
It's a change of
so
shift.
they had to get permission basically from the other state. Anyway, it was a whole thing. Just like when it's out of the country, you have to get
right. So you get extradited out of the country. So I just learned a new word. Okay, so go ahead.
So that happened, and then during this all this stuff started coming out about how they found him, and it was a lot of it.
Well, don't go in there because that's one of the things that in the earlier stages that there's a lot of confusion about with what forensics can do. They got 100 forensics people on the case. I think FBI, right?
Yeah, they had FBI on the case.
It was 100.
They had national and local.
In little town of Moscow, Idaho, which is it's kind of like
college town.
It's a college town in the desert, essentially. It's like Wazoo near Spokane.
It's very close to Washington State.
Yeah,
I believe it's only 7 miles between the two schools.
I didn't realize.
It's really close.
I didn't realize they're both the same thing.
Very
so they're
close.
Kind of in the middle of nowhere. You move there to get away from, to have the college experience. It's a small town, not a large community.
Not a lot of stuff going on.
You're really going to get away with drunk driving for sure. That's
oh,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I've actually never been up north to Moscow.
Yeah.
Idaho.
You should visit.
I'm okay for now. But I've always wanted to go up there because I've lived in Idaho since I was
Let's be honest.
8.
Is it really that Idaho? It's such an outskirts of Idaho.
It is. I mean, it's still Idaho. It's still part of the state.
It is, but it's such a small part. There's
but they say so. I think Coeur d'Alene is up there too, and I've heard really good things about Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene's beautiful.
So it's kind of that. I just always wanted to go up to see that area because I think it's important to see your whole state.
yeah. You're the one that's visiting these national parks.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about this whole killing situation is they have 100 agents on this case in this little tiny town, and they have no leads. The argument is that they have leads, but they're not releasing them, so they're kind of being conservative.
And that was the whole thing is they didn't say anything, but I think some people were like, they don't know anything. The police aren't doing their job. They're just letting this go on and on without having anything. And then I think some people assumed, obviously, they're just not releasing information because if they do, they won't catch the suspect. He's going to figure out that they're after him. Anyway, so they were being very tight-lipped to make sure that everything went the right way. And it did, because then they were able to find evidence leading up to his arrest. So one of the things was, while he was driving with his dad to Pennsylvania, he got pulled over twice by police.
Did they say what the infractions were?
Well, they gave him warnings, but
he was driving the Hyundai or the Kia.
Hyundai.
Was it the Kia or Hyundai?
It's a Hyundai. Elantra, I believe. Yeah. A white one.
Hyundai like Sunday. That's how the old marketing term was 10 years ago.
Hyundai like a Sunday?
Yeah.
I have never heard that.
Yeah, 10 years. Not like a Sunday. Don't say it so slow. But they did a thing on TV every time they marketed Hyundai like Sunday.
Oh.
Because then people would say Hyundai, and they're like,
oh, Hyundai. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so
it's
somehow they wanted to correct people, but so they don't know what he got.
So the police pulled him over. Well, what they told him was he was following too closely, which
to the murder.
That could have been a double meaning. You're following too closely.
Yeah, my snout is out.
So that was his thing. But looking back now, apparently they had pulled him over to check if he had cuts on his arms, because usually when you're stabbing somebody, it's very messy.
Yeah.
And you get defensive.
First of all,
wounds.
why are you so well versed in stabbing?
I listen to so many true crime podcasts. I know everything.
This girl's on a roll. Okay, so they were suspicious of him already. They're looking if he's got all these like markings.
So I think, I'm not sure the details, but I believe they were pretty suspicious that it was him after they located the car and found out who it was registered to. And then footage of the car driving and the fact that it was driving back to the Washington State campus. Mm-hmm. They kind of started piecing things together.
How did they capture that? How did they land on the fact that it's the Hyundai? Like, that's the car.
So this is what was in I believe in the affidavit that they had released to the public. His car drove that night in like around that neighborhood 3 times. So he came in, drove, turned around and left 3 times before he stopped. And like, I don't think there's footage of him like getting out of the car, but they kept seeing that car. And it's like, I'm sure they were like, this seems so suspicious, especially after they're doing so much deep diving into like everything. They're literally chasing every single lead that they see this. I'm sure it seems so suspicious that this car just kept like going past the street 3 times, the same exact car.
Did he whisper Bloody Mary every time he did it?
Bloody Mary. And then,
hey, don't mess around. Okay, I didn't say the whole time.
It's not dark. And I didn't say it 3 times. And I didn't spin around.
We're in the middle of the Harry Potter trilogy right now, so
we're almost at the end.
Do not even try to cast any spells right now. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Guardian Leviosa.
Do not.
What's the one that kills people? Starts with an A.
I don't know.
Expecto Patronum.
Yeah.
Oh,
Expecto Patronum.
Kyle with the hot spells.
Yeah.
All right, get him. Okay.
Expelioso.
I didn't know I'm sitting in the midst of witches.
Wizards.
One witch, one wizard. My apologies. I didn't know you're a Hogwarts alum.
Hey, thanks for watching our Next Door Neighbors podcast.
And be sure to capture the full episode anywhere podcasts are streamed and including our YouTube channel, Next Door Neighbors.